Laughing Monkey Music Show. Today we have on Cobra Spell guitarist Sonia. How are you?
I'm good. It's been an easy day. The sun is shining in near Barcelona, Spain. So in the south
Nice.
of Europe.
Because you have a new album out, and feels like the lineup is pretty much solidified now. Do you feel like you kind of got the lineup you want now? Also with the band, feels like you guys have a groove going on.
Yes, so of course the band has grown and has had its changes.
Yep.
And right now with the debut album, we needed a lineup that is built to last and that can take the challenges that come, being part of a band that has to tour around and do professional work. So I'm very confident about the girls that we have in the band right now. We're all like in aligned. We're in the same page. They're all hardworking, and there's a sense of teamwork.
It feels good. Obviously, you're the leader. This is your idea. You started. You switched bands to do this. When we spoke last time, you had a singer who was a male singer who was sharing his time between bands, and it just wasn't working out because of the split projects. Now you're an all-female band. Was it a goal to have a female singer, male singer? Did it really matter when you were getting
Well,
your singer for this?
initially, Cobra Spell didn't start as a switch. It was a side project
Right.
while I was active in other bands. So it was not like I didn't leave the bands and start Cobra Spell. It wasn't like some kind of revenge or anything. It was I just needed to fully commit myself to Cobra Spell. And yeah, the reason why Cobra Spell became an all-female formation um, is due to the what I saw when I was part of Crypta, which is my one of previous bands, is that it had a huge influence on the younger generation of female musicians. Younger girls would message me and would tell me that they were inspired by the work that I did. They were asking me for guitar lessons. This for me was something incredible, is something incredible. And I am feel a huge responsibility to hold the torch for those girls out there that feel intimidated um, in this music world because it's male dominated,
Mhm.
and can be quite scary for all of us. And I myself I want to help those girls. I want to be a role model. And doing this with a full band, with a full formation with five girls is
Mhm.
even more powerful because we stand together, we are stronger together. And I hope that this keeps inspiring women out there. And I wanted to do this with Cobra Spell too. And I saw my chance to do this whenever there were lineup changes.
Yep.
Um, I seek for a female musician instead, and yeah, I mean, other than we have a bigger connection because we can agree with the same
Right.
issues that we experience.
I think two things. I think was first of A as a father who's I have a daughter, younger young woman who plays instruments. Always love the fact of seeing more women getting recognized in music. So to me, it makes me very happy. But also, no one says, "Oh, you're having a male band because all men in it." You know what I'm saying? So unfortunately, if you have all women in your band, it could just be that way and not meant to be like an all female band. It's just those are the musicians. It was never questioned if all men band. You know what I'm saying? It's only questioned because there's so
Mhm.
few female bands. So to me, it was more about by design where you're trying to find a different type of voice, not trying to um, create an all female band. But that's even better to hear this. It's even more of a powerful answer. So
I believe it's necessary to put emphasis that we're women because we are an imbalance. There's an imbalance in gender
there
in
is.
music. So whenever there is an imbalance, you need to put the attention. You need to grab that attention. So, and something that I find is, for example, that there is a taboo on attention. I think attention is something beautiful. I think that should be used when there is an imbalance in gender. It's totally important to bring the attention to that what is um, needed.
Mhm.
And I think there is more women needed in this genre. So I hope you understand what I'm.
Son, your English is better than mine, and that's my only language. So please, you're doing fine. What I'm leading to is, and it's all fine. It's because the album itself is called 666. It's a very powerful album, very um, female driven lyrics, but powerful. But you got the rock and roll too. You definitely, I grew up in that time period, so I feel like like the Motley Crues and the LA Guns. But I also hear like the melodies. I do hear European power metal breakdowns though also
Yeah.
in there. So I am hearing both types of music, and then a strong female voice, but also the lyrics are very female oriented. That you're writing towards yourself as a band, like a gang. So that's why
Yeah.
it kind of feels like it's more. This album's different because we spoke last about your last two albums, and I listened to those. So it's kind of fun growing with these albums with you because it's like as they come along to see the changes.
Mhm.
Musically, it's awesome. You're a fantastic guitar player. Your songwriting is continuing to grow. Um, very, very melodic,
Thank-
but still very metal. You still slay on it. Ago, it was
Flaming Heart.
that one didn't seem as metal. It threw me off. I'm like, are they changing their sound because it was like before this came out? So I was like, oh, it didn't seem as much.
So the thing about Cobra Spell, and you can hear this very well in the debut album and the songs of of 666, is that personally I'm hugely influenced by the 80s sound. It's not specifically one direction, like just glam or just heavy metal. Um, there is many aspects of the 80s music that I adore, like
Right.
the AOR, the adult oriented rock. I really like synthesizer music. Also from the 70s, synthesizer music was super awesome. Music soundtracks, John Carpenter, you
Yep.
name it. I've been listening to a lot of like Vangelis. I don't know how you pronounce that.
Yep.
I listen to a lot of music. Um, and I love the glam, obviously. I love the power metal. People that know me a little bit better know that I have a very metal background. So I've been playing death metal for many years, which
Right.
is something more extreme. But I hold a lot of influence on my guitar playing from that genre. So I feel like I'm an extreme guitar player playing glam music, creates something else also. And Cobra Spell is kind of like the result of what I have been listening to and the identity of Cobra Spell because I already found like a formula that works for me. I write in a certain way that I can recognize, okay, this is a Cobra Spell idea.
Yeah.
And for me, what is Cobra Spell is 80s influenced music that is going towards rock and heavy metal. And so there will be songs that sound a little bit faster, that will sound a little bit more Judas Priest style, and there are songs that will be a little bit more groovy, like Skid Row or Guns N' Roses.
Right.
Guns N' Roses. Um, so I try to, I don't hold any limits in songwriting. I
No.
don't like to put a barrier. The only filter that I have is that Cobra Spell is the 80s heavy rock
Yeah.
band.
It's a perfect time to change. But when you're doing an album, I think it's awesome for a band, especially like a young band, like in album releases young. That I mean, compared to me, you are young, but a young band that you do is much different stuff. So you're not going to be locking yourself in like you do like a bunch of metal records, and you want to something different.
No.
Everyone's so now you do whatever you want now, so people know you can do what you want. I'm just saying when I heard it, I didn't hear any like I barely had any guitar in it, and no matter what you've done, you've always had a lot of guitar. So to me, I was like, oh, not really hearing a lot of guitar standing out like normal. I wonder what this new album's going to come back. And this new album just blew me away because there's lots of guitar.
Thank you. Well, it's the music that I write is starting from the guitar. So, and the songs that I start because I also sometimes write from synthesizer. So I also play synthesizer myself. And Flaming Heart was a song that I wrote starting with a synthesizer. And you get a more synthesizer oriented song. There's people that really like that, and there's people that are more like, I want something with a little bit more power, and so there's something for everyone. In the
Yep.
new album, there's also a song that is more synthesizer oriented, more flaming hard, like AOR style,
Right.
and that will be Love is Love. So I think some people really like that vibe. 80s movie tracks.
But it just feels like there's just like little extra pieces to it each time. You know what I mean? Like you're like, I can do
Absolutely.
this, but I can also do this now. I'm gonna just add this part onto it. You know what I mean? And you're like, oh, I go back and listen to it. I'm hearing more things, um, which is great because like me, I love then, but I also love the '80s. So you don't need to have guitar. You know, Van Halen did Jump and I'll Wait, and then they had Eddie Van Halen. You know what I'm saying? So you don't need to be one thing. I
Right.
get that. I'm just saying to me, I didn't know because there was that time between the albums. I'm like, oh, because you had the male singer and then you're changing, then you had a female singer, but then it was like less guitar, but you didn't have the album out. I'm like, where are we going? Like the journey of following you at that point, I didn't know. I was just kind of like waiting.
Working with Christina is amazing. She's a fantastic, versatile singer,
Great
and
voice, great
her
voice,
voice
huh? Oof.
absolutely amazing. Um, Creating melodies for her voice because I create the melodies in beforehand. Like I record them with my own voice. You don't want to hear it. Um,
Send me those demos.
but working with her is amazing because her range is so
Mm-hmm.
wide. She has very deep lows and she can go extremely high. And she's opening a lot of um, opportunities and possibilities in the songwriting. And for me, this is very exciting as a songwriter to work with such musicians because we can create more epic melodies, more
I think that's what it is.
with
You have less
yeah, and
limits now.
you
I think
can
it's
hear
what they
that
had this album.
from the if you compare the EPs with the album, there's a lot of more layers
Dynamics are
in the
different.
album.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think I'm going a little bit too overboard, but
No.
for me, more is more. I love melody.
Yeah.
Um, I love those layered vocals, those backings. It's something that makes me very happy. Melody is what makes me love music.
I think that's what is the album. It is. It's much more dynamic. It has less boundaries. You know, and it's not knocking anything before. It just feels like there's more to it. I mean, even the videos, all the band, all of you women, feels like you guys are all happy together. It feels very, very infectious. Like you're having fun. You know, the lyrics are very women empowering, but they might be like, in the '80s is full of like macho raunchy stuff, but now you got the
Right.
power of women taking it, and taking
Exactly.
control, which is a great spin because it was this before, and like once again, you're coming in and putting your own stamp on it for women and doing, you know,
Totally.
leading the way. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
women have done before, but you're carrying a torch, and I think that's it's important. You know,
Absolutely. You get it. Yeah, it's needed. We
had me
need more.
laughing. I was like, oh, I see. This is fun. you know,
Yeah,
it's tongue in cheek too. It's not like it's so serious either. It shows you guys are having fun at the same time, like serious musicians but having fun with the lyrics. And you know what I mean? It's kind of a good
totally.
balance.
Yeah, because in the album it features lyrics that obviously are a lot of more. I mean, they all have a serious background. If I'm very honest, they all have a serious background, but some will be more in a fun approach. Some
right.
will be a little bit more fantasy-ish, and some are more realistic. And um that's what I like about 666 is that it speaks about real things wrapped up in a way that it's sometimes fun, it's sometimes more serious. It takes you in a journey, and whenever I listen to some albums, I love music overall, but sometimes you don't understand what's going on because the lyrics are so complicated. They went
Yep.
so far that I'm personally like just listening to the music and that's fine, and I'm not diving deeper. And whenever I enjoy making lyrics that are easy to understand, and you can easily how to say it, um feel, how do you say it, that you can not agree, you feel,
You can
how
empathize with it. You can kind of empathize with it. Yeah.
emphasize,
Yeah.
I think that's the word. um yeah, I want to find ways that people can live those lyrics too in different situations, and I also want to make lyrics that are genuine. I realized that with the EPs, I wasn't the main lyric writer on those two EPs.
Hmm.
They're awesome. I
Yeah,
love the EPs, though they were very much trying to fit in something. They wanted very much to be 80s glam music. And that was kind of a little bit too forceful to me. And personally, I'm more of like, let's have fun. Let's make something
yeah,
that really matters. For me, this album is so meaningful. I even had to tattoo it on my wrists. You know what I mean?
yep,
It's extremely meaningful to me. And I feel now I make this album, it's the lyrics speak to me, the compositions speak to me because they come from a genuine feeling, from a
yeah.
genuine experience.
Well, it feels it. I mean, it actually, so the album is called 666, but and it's actually released in December 6th, right? I think too. December 6th is a release date, I think, right?
It's
What is it?
being released 1st of December.
Oh, the first. I'm sorry. I was 666. I got six in my head. Uh, so,
Would be
so
awesome.
I don't know why you didn't do it. If I was your manager, no. So if with the opening track though, 666 is just an instrumental, which reminds me of a lot of like Shout at the Devil, like in the beginning, like Motley Crue.
Yeah.
So to me, the first thing I heard is I'm like, it felt like a nod to some of the metal bands that had the fantastic, instrumentals coming in to kind of set the mood that you're like welcome to my album type of thing.
Mhm.
Was that kind of on purpose, or did you kind of put that in saying we need this? And never heard a track being titled by the instrumental either, though. Like the album by the instrumental, that was kind of neat to do that. So two
I
parts.
did it. I know that it has been done by a band named Possessed. They have this album Seven Churches.
Yep,
I really was way more extreme music.
it is. I don't know who else. I know the reference, but I don't know if anyone else in the audience is going to get that at this point besides you and me.
And it starts with the intro of The Exorcist, like din
Yep,
din din. But it's the not only the Exorcist intro, it's also Tubular Bells
yep.
by Tubular Bells, Mike Oldfield, and it has din 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 din. And Possessed is starting the album with this intro, which is completely unrelated to the music that is coming, but it sets a tone that is
Hmm.
it gives you such an evil feeling. This song is very spooky, very it brings you in a certain vibe, a
Yep.
certain mood. Um, and that's what I really like about that intro in that specific album. And it's also called in the song Seven Churches, if I'm right. I'm not sure. Let me check that out. I believe it was also called in the name of the album, Seven Churches. Let me check that out just to
It,
confirm.
yeah, but it clears the palette. Like if you listen to another album, you put that on. So to me, like you put your album on, whatever you listened to before, like
Ah,
six 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 kind of clears it. Yeah,
the intro is called The Exorcist.
yeah.
Excuse me there, but I like that the intro is completely different and it's a synthesizer thing. And personally, as I said before, I love synthesizers.
Hmm.
Besides playing the guitars, I love that instrument. It opens a lot of possibilities in melody, and that's why I love to explore that instrument. Um,
Have you played it like a
and
long time, or have you added on to it? Did you start playing it when you were younger too, like with guitar, or
I've
did you
been
add that
I've
to your
been
arsenal?
composing with synthesizers for I think equally as long as playing the guitar, many years, though it's something that
Okay.
I've done way more low key because it's not an instrument that I play live or promote on my socials, but it's more of a thing that I do at home and use more as a tool.
You should though. You should
And
put it up there a little bit on your especially on your play alongs and stuff. I think some of your fans would kind of dig it. You know what I mean? I mean Eddie Van
I
Halen. Some of
think
the biggest, heaviest Van Halen songs were done on keyboard, and then he put it on guitar. So I mean,
yeah,
you should put
I've
it
been
out there.
thinking about it because once in a while I'm posting a synthesizer thing, and my synthesizer work is also in Flaming Heart, for example. Well, I wanted to showcase that synthesizer playing somewhere in the album, and
Yeah,
I thought the intro, a very epic, like cool Juno 60, like a very 80s synthesizer, Juno
yeah,
60 sound, brasses like, and with those portamentos going up. there is like the portamento is the sound that goes like
Yeah.
and that's happening in this intro, and this portamento sound gives a feeling of epicness in my melody and with sound, and that portamento is building up, and that build up is something that I just love build ups in music, and I wanted to have that in the intro. And the intro should be like epic build. Certainly when it's an 80s album, it should build you up towards the first song.
Hmm.
And yeah, I had a blast making the
Well,
intro.
no, it's good, and I think that's what
You
explains
can
the fans
hear.
that get it. Yeah, it's great. It's and what it is like to me. I get the album cover. We'll talk about the album cover. It's got a great, fun album cover. The intro starts off, it's instrumental, and it kind of builds, and it's really good. And I'm like, I'm looking at the album cover. I'm like, this is going to be good, you know. And there is a lot of '80s influences, but I think the difference between this album and the other EPs you did is you were kind of not mocking it, but copying and showing your influences of the '80s music in your songwriting. But this, you've kind of taken a lot of your stuff now, and as an artist, you're starting to evolve into your own sound with other sounds.
Right.
And I think that's the difference between, besides the fantastic vocals, giving you more of a range to your songs. And I think there's more freedom. I think you feel more free or comfortable as a songwriter, or at least it feels it listening. Because this feels like the first album of the band to me, you know.
It is. And
Well, technically it's the album, but it feels like it's the first
it
thing
is.
as the band for me to hear, like as what the really band is.
But you're totally right, because in this first two EPs, and besides all the music that I have actually written for Cobra Spell that is unreleased, I have a lot of unreleased music. Um, it's a like a search for the identity of the band.
Yeah,
Musicians don't realize it, but the first albums and EPs are always searching the direction of where the band is, and every time you're evolutioning more as a musician, and it's a
yeah,
constant evolution. And for me, these EPs where I see them as a search towards the identity of Cobra Spell. And for example, Flaming Heart was a total different song, but
mm,
it allowed me to see push a boundary in the music of Cobra Spell and see how would that work out. And to me it worked out, though I realized that for me it's a balance between there's in the album you can hear what is this identity of Cobra Spell, what is happening in
yeah.
it.
It kind of does. All the sounds kind of dissolve. Like I'm like, oh, this feels like the LA Guns, just for easy reference. And then I hear, oh, definitely European power metal here together. Listen, I hear, oh, I don't know, it's their sound. Like all of a sudden, it becomes your sound. That's Cobra Spell. That I didn't hear on the
Yeah,
EPs. Like it feels a little bit different there, and I think that's what it is. And now you have your identity, and you realize you can do almost anything with the band. Now you can focus all your time for the rest of your life as a guitar player, chasing your tone, that perfect tone forever, like a guitar player is
yeah,
supposed to do.
I love that. I love that
Tone chasing.
adventure. My goal as a guitar player has changed from the beginning of from being a guitarist from now. Before I always wanted to be like faster, more technical, be more like crazy shreddy.
Yep.
Um, these days, for me, I find a lot of more value into finding your own voice as a musician,
Yes.
like being able to um, express a certain unique voice that is recognizable as a musician. That's something that puts you out of the others.
Hmm.
Uh, that makes
No, yeah,
you.
it's very common now. I mean, you're reaching it younger than most guitar players. When I talk to musicians, they're usually like up, 40s or 50s, and they're like, "Yeah, I started to slow down because saying, saying more with less. Slowing down is harder. Playing slow guitars is almost harder
It's also,
to
yeah,
play
and
it
and
to get your point across. Maybe not technically, because hard is fast. It's still hard no matter what you do. It's still amazing. But to play a song concept slow and get it out there, that's another day.
Mhm. And I'm trying to reach a certain connection with my instrument. In this case, the guitar is my main instrument, that is so deep that I can just like talk with it. You know what I mean? I'm talking
Yep.
with you right now, but have a I want to be able to have a dialogue with my guitar.
Mhm.
And that sounds kind of funny, but I want to be able that if I speak with my guitar, that someone can understand what I'm speaking. And that's where I'm going. And it's a long way, but every time I'm getting closer. Sometimes I have that connection a little bit stronger with the guitar, and sometimes I feel like I'm still like struggling, and then I feel okay, I need to work on that. Or and yeah, but now that I feel that I'm focusing on the right direction, I'm 100% doing what I should be doing. Like I am playing
Yeah.
100% Cobra Spell. This is something that is a very good choice for me as a guitar player because I am fully playing that what I want to pursue as a guitarist. And I feel the connection with my instrument is just getting better. But yeah, I am still working on getting as authentic as I can and really refining my voice. It's the same as finding the identity of the sound of a band. For me, it's also finding my sound as a guitar player.
You
And
have a good sound. I'm just saying, as a guitar player, you always want to play something different. You're like, oh, I like that. You just that's the fun part of being a guitar player is you can always go a little bit further each time. There's a new
right,
sound. You have a good sound, but I'm just saying, like as a guitar player, you always want to. There's a new toy. There's a new
absolutely,
something. Yeah, there's something else you want to add to your list. I have two questions before we end, and one so is the album cover. Pretty awesome,
yes.
pretty fun. Just briefly tell me about it. The album cover.
So the album cover is made by an artist in Italy. Her name
Mhm.
is Isabella Stabile, and her style is also quite old school. I would say it's a combination between 70s and 80s evil looking sleazy artworks.
Yep.
Um
Dio,
her
Maiden, old school priest, kind of.
exactly, you get it. Um I would say it's very inspired by paint, the airbrush looking style like from the 80s.
Mhm.
Um she paints in like it would have been made with an airbrush, and that was something that I really liked about her style and this chromy looking stuff, and that reminds me to the 80s. And so her work is sleazy and her work is 80s looking, and I thought that would be very fitting into the
Mhm.
album, 666. um with the band, we decided that we wanted a cover that would represent female power, the women
Yeah,
in power,
that works for that
and
cover.
yeah, in dominance. And you can see represented in the cover a woman that is dominating the devil.
Yep.
And besides that, she is under a cobra spell because she has a cobra behind her. And yeah, so it's the representation of power in a very edgy fantasy
Yep.
um,
So that was original
artwork.
design. It was original design
Yes, it's an
for
original
that
design.
special. Okay.
I have it here at home. She sent me the original. It's like a big hand
Got
painted,
it. Hope you have it hung up, framed up.
beautiful work. Yeah, I'm gonna hang it up in my
Yeah.
in my studio. And yeah, we wanted something very edgy, very, you know, graphic looking, something that catches the eye. And we went for something more infernal because the previous EPs have been like more purple-ish, bluish, pink-ish. And I wanted something different for the debut album. And I thought it would be nice to go the red, infernal, hellish.
It checks all the boxes for an album from back then, but it's also has the growth for you and the band, you know. So as
Mhm.
a fan from earlier on, I enjoyed you, but when I got this one, I was like, this is it. This is the thing. So
And
the last question is going to be touring. What are the odds of touring? Got plans for touring
so,
anywhere?
yeah, at the moment, we have announced a Spain tour, which is going to
Mhm.
be in April. We're working on a European tour. And yeah, that's what we're currently working on.
I
We
know
have not
USA is
announced.
hard. I know USA is hard for a lot of bands to come across.
USA is hard, we would hope. Hopefully, but we need a lot of support from our fans there to spread the message from Cobra Spell. also in the UK. And we also have a lot of Japanese fans, some
Oh,
very interesting. Yeah, very cool. We're getting a lot of support there, so we're
support and
definitely
age is
trying.
good for a band. That could keep a band going on through the hard times for a lot of bands. We,
Yeah,
you know,
so we're definitely hoping that we can play outside of Europe, but at the moment we are working on that European tour. So step by
you'd be
step,
good on a
I guess
package thing. Like of like four bands. Cobra Spell would fit good on a package tour to introduce you to more fans.
would be
That's
amazing. That would
that's
be
what it would
amazing.
be a good thing for a band of your newness, but style to go on some of
Yeah.
these heavier tours with some of these other bands. You would be
Yeah,
perfect to
because
get show new
we're such
audiences.
a newcomer. We're such a newcomer right now. We are new in the scene. With having two EPs in our portfolio and just our first album, people need to discover us now because it's the first album with the
Mm-hmm.
formation that we have right now, with the image that we have right now. So we need to kind of prove ourselves right now. And yeah, it's gonna be an exciting time, very exciting time for Cobra Spell, I think, because
Excellent.
next year we're gonna have a very crazy performance with a with a new album. I'm very excited about. We have crazy ideas, and I think it's gonna open a lot of opportunities. And I'm just not sure when we're gonna hit some stages outside of Europe, hopefully the United States.
Hopefully, you have to be. It's got to be one of your goals because you have a lot of fans here and you're new, and I think it's a good place for your audience. Well, I'm excited to hear the next album, and no one's even heard the new one except for like obviously you guys and a few people like me. I'm already ready for the next album because I'm so excited about it. So, I want to thank you, and we'll
We're
probably
gonna
hopefully we'll talk for your next album probably soon enough.
start work on it already.
Right? We'll be doing that. Thank you. I want people to check out the album December 1st, and the links for the band and everything is underneath the show. Support the band, Cobra Spell. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
We'll talk
Bye
again.
bye.
Bye bye.